Hello everyone, take 22. Not really. We're making meatloaf today. It's a rainy day outside. We need some good comfort food. And so we're making meatloaf. And I guarantee, you ain't never had no meatloaf like this. It came up as an accident. And this is how when I buy my meatloaf, I put it in bags, flattened it out, so it's easier to store in my freezer. Or not meatloaf, hamburger. You knew what I meant. Okay, so that's about a pound. All right, and I like to use onion soup mix. This is my original recipe that I've made since I was like 10, 12 years old. All right, and I didn't get something to break my eggs into. Oh, we'll just trust. 1 egg, 2 egg, 3 egg, because I have lots of eggs. So that's a good way to use them up. Eggs act as a good binding agent in the meatloaf, and so that's why I do it. Okay. And then Italian seasoning, probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. Need a little tomato sauce. I usually use leftover spaghetti sauce. It's a good way to use it up. Okay, so that is the original recipe. But I'm a dehydrator now. So for a little extra nutrition, I'm going to throw in a handful of dried zucchini and yellow squash. And some tomato powder. And that just boosts the nutritional value of this. And it'll help to compensate for the really unhealthy ingredient I'm going to show you now. If you really know me in real life, I have a problem. It's a pretty big problem. It's called a potato chip addiction. I got a potato chip addiction. And so years ago, I didn't have no crackers in the house. I didn't have no breadcrumbs in the house. I didn't know what to use for the binding agent, and I wasn't using Cheerios, or not Cheerios, what do people use? Cornflakes? Ugh. I wasn't doing none of that crap in my meatloaf. I have a potato addiction. Back then, I always had potato chips in the house. Now, not so much, because I really try to watch, and I don't buy the brands I like anymore, so I don't eat as many. So, instead of breadcrumbs, instead of cracker crumbs or cornflakes, we're doing us some potato chips. And that is the secret to my meatloaf. That makes it completely different than anyone else's. And my family loves it. And if you want to try to do a mixture without your hands, you go right ahead, but I can't do that. I've tried to do the whole spoon thing, and I probably should have only added 2 eggs, but those were small eggs, so I didn't think it was. So, a little bit more here, and I think we're going to add a little bit more of this because I got a lot of liquid in here. You just gotta know what the texture has to be like. So if you've ever made meatballs or meatloaf before, you just do that. Okay. And we like a nice wet moist meatloaf. So this is pretty good. I'm gonna do it in my milk glass Jeanette pattern bread pan. And I'm just going to take this, and it's a sloppy mess, and it's going to look like it's not going to hold together or anything else, but We're going to hope and pray it does. Sometimes it does. Sometimes, I don't know what I do, and it doesn't. But we don't really care if it holds together well because we love it anyways. Oh, and I should have probably greased that pan, but I forgot. And I'm not going to worry about it. I had my bacon grease right out here to grease it. Sometimes I will put a couple slices of bacon in the bottom if I have some. I have some in the freezer, but I didn't think to pull it out and thaw it. So there we go. That is it. So I'm going to put it in the oven. Well, first I'm going to put it in the fridge and let it sit for about an hour so that everything, you know, kind of all the flavors blend together. Then I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 and until it cooks up the proper temperature, which I always have to look at my thermometer. You guys know that. Or my chart, and my chart's not on my fridge. My thermometer's over there, my hands are all nasty, so I'm not going to grab it. When we come back, I'll make sure I tell you, and the recipe and the temperature and cooking time and everything will be in the description. We'll see you back in a couple minutes. Ah! Okay, here we are. We are back. I've actually let this cool because we were gonna have it for lunch, and then Tim went into work and blah 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 blah. So it's gonna be dinner. So I did cook it to 160. Halfway through, I poured off the grease because I didn't want it sitting in there cooking in the grease because then it tastes like a greasy hamburger, and we don't want that. So I like to cook it till it starts to pull from the edge a little bit, and we like a nice crispy top. So that's what we got. Then I like to just maybe cut down the middle and make like the, you know, little fake stitches. One down the middle, 3 across. And a little bit of sauce on top. You can always use ketchup like they did in the olden days if you don't have leftover tomato sauce. There's no reason to open up a jar of tomato sauce for any of this. If you don't have it left over, use ketchup. I've done that too. And that's all my mother ever used was ketchup. So then I put it back in and let that kind of cook up a little bit, you know, get that nice and yummy looking, glazy looking, and then we'll be ready to pull it out again. Remember, everything's going to be in the description. So, alrighty, we're going to put it back in the oven at 350 again for probably about 15, 20 minutes. Okay? Da, 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 da. Okay, let's wrap this up, friends, family, subscribers, and viewers. All right, this is what the finished meatloaf looks like. We like it nice and a nice crust on it. And it's usually best if you let it sit a couple minutes like you do most meat. Okay. I'll play. Whoops-a-daisy. Plate this dinner up. Okay. And this is my meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and cream of corn. All right. Now I'm going to take a taste for you. Absolutely wonderful. And we know the heel is the best part. This is how I grew up eating cream of corn on my mashed potatoes. Childhood memories. Wonderful comfort food for me. Okay, that's my potato chip meatloaf. Y'all know I'm crazy. Now if you just thought it before, now you know. Who puts potato chips in their meatloaf? Okay, you know the deal. Like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever. If you want to make fun of me, that's okay. Just share it with all your friends and you guys can laugh at me and my potato chips. All right, have a good evening. Hope you enjoy your meatloaf. Bye-bye. Love y'all.